Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Quad Radio and another special edition of Quad Radio Live today on a Tuesday morning as we get set to roll into winter 2012-2013, and we continue today our special presentation of the do's and don'ts of sponsorship with Seth Farger. There are plenty of things to talk about, and this is part two of a multi-part segment, and we've got quite a bit of things to talk about today. And first and foremost, I do want to say thanks to some folks that really help out with Quad Radio, and that, of course, our friends at Impact Solutions, ATV.com. Impact Solutions, your factory authorized service center for Elka Suspension, your U.S. headquarters, if you will, located at 985 Harris Highway in Parkersburg, West Virginia. Phone them up 304-863-0025. And those guys doing great. And Elka is also taking sponsorship resumes right now if you want to give them a drop of the line there, elkasuspension.com on the World Wide Web. And we say good morning and welcome once again to one Seth Farger, who is here with us today as we continue our do's and don'ts of sponsorship. And good morning to Seth on a Tuesday.
Good morning. How is everything this morning for you guys up there? You're in Ohio, correct?
Yes, I am in Ohio, and actually a heavy frost this morning, so you can tell we are definitely in late fall, and we are working our way towards winter, no doubt about it, especially with the time change and everything. You know, it's making it get dark and everything a little bit earlier, and the season is really starting to feel like fall and winter now. So I guess that's good because that's what we need to get people focused on what's going on coming up in the 2013 season.
Yes, absolutely. It's the seasons are all closing and winding down, and everybody's starting to focus on next year, and that's where sponsorship comes in. I know top guys are working on their deals, and amateurs alike, people that are getting involved for the first time, are starting to put together resumes and send out letters and start putting their programs together for 2013. So for racers, it's an important time of year.
Yeah, it is. And last week we talked about a couple of things. One is try to make the job easier of the sponsors, and also make sure you proofread and send legible letters, resumes, and anything that you send to these folks. Make sure that you that you proofread everything and things like that, kind of recapping what we've already gone over so far.
Yeah, really, your email, letter, proposal, resume, whatever you send them is likely that sponsor's first impression of you, and maybe their only impression, and you want to make a good impression. And so if you send a ill-prepared document that's got typos and poor grammar and things like that, it doesn't look like you spent a lot of time on it or took the time to reread it before you sent it. It kind of shows that you're probably not going to be real professional in terms of how you represent them. So you really want to consider that and make sure that you're giving them the real you and the most professional you, so that you have the best opportunity for them to want to partner with you. And then also we had spoke about just finding out what they want as a company in terms of what resume or how you submit your proposal, if it's through an external site like Hookit or Sponsor House, or emailing an electric copy of a resume, or sending in a hard copy. Some people like to touch it and have the hard copy in their hands, but like you simplify not only their job, but you help yourself out, so to speak, too. If you submit it how they want it, they'll be able to respond quicker, and you get on their good list right away, instead of, if they don't accept hard copies and all you do is blindly send out a bunch of hard copies, it might end up in the trash and you'll never hear about it. So
exactly. So I guess this week, as we continue, we talk about resumes and everything. And Seth, I guess the next question is, what kind of things should we include on a resume? I mean, yeah, we send them a resume, and we know what they want and how they want it, whether it's hard copy, whether it's electronically, or even video or anything. What are some of the things that we should include in these resumes?
Well, the thing that you got to do is, and we talked a little briefly last week about having a history. You can include a brief history how you got involved in racing. You don't have to give them a play-by-play every year of your life and recap every season, but you want to give them a brief history about yourself, how you got into racing, what your goals are. Tell them what series you're going to be racing, because that lets them know how much representation they're going to get. And then the biggest thing is tell them what you're going to do for them. By and large, the typical resume I received when I was in that role said, in partnering with you for sponsorship, I will run your decal on the fender of my ATV, and I will thank you from the podium, and I'll run your sticker on my truck. And that was about it. And so that's kind of the standard that people think. And if you really want to wow somebody, you really want to be able to partner with someone and make it beneficial, you got to make it beneficial for them. And so I encourage people to think outside the box in terms of the representation you bring for that sponsor. Ideally, a couple things you can do is if you're a top racer, offer a riding school. You work with younger people. You work with Jeremiah Jones is doing racing schools now. John Natale's doing it. Joe Burt Quad Riding School obviously has been around for a long time. There's a lot of people offering riding schools, and that's the way. Obviously, those guys are all major players, but you don't have to be a top pro to do a riding school. If you're a local pro or you're a top pro-am rider, you can offer riding schools to help younger riders develop their skills, and that shows that you're a person that younger people look up to. Therefore, you have some influence over their purchasing decisions, and you've got the attention of people looking at you. One of the things that I'm kind of a tech nerd. I got into taking pictures and editing video over the last few years, and one thing you can do is do product spotlights. If you can share with your sponsors that you're going to do a product spotlight on every company that supports you, and say you have a website, which is really easy to do. It's kind of a daunting task to think about, but it's not that difficult actually to set up a website or even just a YouTube channel, and you can shoot and edit your own videos and say you've got a tire sponsor and you're going to do a 60-second product spotlight on just your tires, and then your suspension company and your brake rotors, or all the different companies that you support, and it works out. Something like that works out great for you, because not only are you showing the company, you're providing them content that they can then share through their social media channels and get out there. So it's going to provide them with content out on the World Wide Web for other people to see, but it's because it's you, it also actually markets you, so people are going to see that content and find you. It was amazing for me when I started getting involved, and I started a YouTube channel and just started editing videos of me and my buddies out riding. I can go to Google and Google my name, and these videos come up, and there's a whole bunch of stuff out there on the web, just revolving around my involvement in the sport and riding, and articles I've written for different places. So the same thing will happen as you market yourself. The more stuff you post about yourself and your sponsors online, the bigger, I call it your reach, the bigger reach you have, because anybody with the internet can tune in and find that. So thinking outside of the box in terms of doing product spotlights or writing an article and taking photos of your particular equipment and talking about it. Far too many people, once they arrange their deal with their sponsor, they get what they want, and then they kind of lose all communication, and they got what they want, and a lot of people seldom check back in with their sponsor, let them know how things are going, tell them how they're promoting them and that kind of thing. And so the more you can do to show that sponsor that you're representing them in a way that no one else is, the better it's going to benefit you, and the more they're likely going to want to support you and partner with you.
Exactly, Seth. And I think you brought up a really cool thing. I think the whole video segment thing that you talked about there earlier on, about making a 60-second product spotlight or whatever the case may be, that's perfect. And people say, well, I don't have the resources to do that. But what a lot of people don't realize, they do have those resources now. If you've got a laptop, if you've got a cell phone, most likely you probably have video on that cell phone, and most likely on that laptop you've got some sort of an editing program that you can put together a somewhat decent, maybe not completely professional, but even with the tools that you have provided, it can look somewhat professional and at least appealing and attractive to the sponsors and anybody that watches this.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is it's not just when you create content like that and you share it online, it's not just the sponsor that's going to see it. Other people are going to see that, and that's going to get more eyes on you, and ultimately more eyes on that company's sponsor. So if you suppose you put out a bunch of YouTube videos using their products, and it gets shared around social media because people liked it, you can obviously track how many views there are. And if you go back to that sponsor the next year and say, "Hey, I did this video for you guys, and it's got 10,000 views," obviously you've got a lot of eyes on your product and on the stuff that you're doing. So you kind of become an influencer that way, and that's the essence of marketing right there, is getting eyes on product. And so that's exactly what you're doing. And like we talked about last week or last time we spoke, is sponsorship is marketing. It's a marketing agreement between a company and an athlete.
Exactly. And, that brings us to another good point, and I think probably the next thing that we want to talk about this week is once you get that resume out there, it gets into the hands of the people, and, you've got a nice resume, or regardless of what your resume, you've got a response from a sponsor. Knowing how to respond to them, because sometimes they're going to fire back at you with things that you want to hear, like, yeah, here you can run all of our product for free, or you get it for 90% off or 75% off, or whatever the case may be. But whatever the case may be, I mean, you got to analyze each sponsorship offer and response that you get, and you need to really think before you shoot from the hip and respond, I think.
Yeah, that's absolutely the truth. The person, more than likely, the person responding to you is responding to dozens, if not hundreds, of sponsorship applications, and so they've got a lot on their plate. They don't have the time to evaluate every person and get to know them more. So they may respond based on your series that you race, your standings, your class, how long you've been racing, and that's all they have to go off. So they may make an offer, and even if you feel you merit more than that, there's a professional way to respond. And I mean, I encourage people, any of your communication with any sponsor, whether you like what they offer you or not, you have got to just be professional, and you have the right to disagree if you think you're worth more and that you're going to do more for them. But keep your communication as positive as possible. There are times when sponsors have to cut back, and say they offered people 50% last year. Well, this year they can only offer them 30%. I got emails actually from people that we had to do that, and their response was, I got 50% last year, 30% like a slap in the face. And and being in my position, it kind of makes me realize, well, they're ungrateful for any discount, so it makes me kind of want to just pull the plug and say, well, we're not going to support you at all, actually, because if it's all about just what you get and not what we get, both of us mutually benefiting from that relationship, then we don't want to necessarily align ourselves with someone that's just using us. And so being professional, I had people that would call and we'd talk for a while, and they'd say, well, yeah, we're doing this, and they make a good case for what they're doing, but I couldn't always give them a better deal or more product or whatever. So there's no shame in asking, but you just want to be professional. There were times I had people threaten me and say, well, maybe it's time we'll go to a different company, and that's a quick way to get people to just say, okay, you're welcome to do that. And the problem with that is it kind of shows your true colors. It kind of shows the lack of professionalism with which you'd represent their company. And so keep your correspondence polite. You're always welcome to say, well, we like this, but we really like to do that, make a case, but be professional and all. Something I always encourage people, if a sponsor comes back with an offer that is less than what you feel you're worth, I'd take that as a personal challenge to show them why I'm worth more. And I'd say, I encourage people to take what they offer you and then spend that year wowing them with how well you show them off, how well you market them, how well you can help them sell product, so that when sponsorship comes around next year, it's an easy answer for them to get involved with your program and sponsor you more, because they were able to see how well you did. And I think that's a positive way to take an approach and maintain that relationship so it benefits you years down the road.
For sure, and that's one thing that you want to try to do too is develop a relationship with a sponsor. And I don't know if that's something you want to get into right now or not, but really, I mean, honestly, you do want to develop a relationship with each individual sponsor that you have in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we said before, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and it develops over time, and it's not gonna grow every year. That's the thing people automatically assume, is that their sponsorship level is going to increase every year. And if they start at 25% off, and the next year they're at 35%, and the next year 45%, in a short period of time, just by that method, they're going to be getting free product. And that's one of the misconceptions, is that, well, my sponsorship should go up, or I moved up a class, you guys should give me more product because I'm now racing the Pro-Am class. And your sponsorship level, it's true, most of the guys in the pro class are the guys that get the best deals, but it's not just because they're racing in the pro class. They are same as anybody. There's a lot of faith in that company for them to sell product and help them sell product, and that's why they're able to get greater discounts and greater levels of support. But they've also more than likely built a relationship with those companies over time. And you start out when you're young, and they offer discounts to younger companies, and as you grow, as they get to watch you develop as a racer, and as they see your professionalism and the attitude you have and how you carry yourself at the track and how you work with other people, a lot of times they'll maintain that and continue to grow their level of support as you grow and show good faith to them as a company. So it's very important to maintain that relationship and not burn the bridge where, you guys sponsored me last year, but you're not going to give me a better discount, or you're not going to give me free product this year, so I'm going to go elsewhere. You can certainly do that, and it's within your right to do that. But then if you decide you don't get a better deal somewhere else and you come back to them, they're more than likely going to, they might not sponsor you at all, or they won't help you out as much, because I call them call it jumping ship. When you didn't get what you wanted, you jumped ship and went somewhere else. And so that shows your commitment level, or lack thereof commitment, to them as a sponsor. And so I spoke a couple months ago with a representative from a plastic manufacturer, fenders and seats and so forth, and he said they were having a tough time, and he's got guys that have been full sponsored pros for a while, and they get free stuff. And he said times are tough. There are guys that I'll tell them I can give them one free set, but they're going to have to pay 50% on the second one. And they say, well, sorry, I'm going elsewhere. And he's like, well, okay, but see if we want to partner with you in the get-go. But times are tough. We realize we've given you stuff in the past, and I'm still willing to give you, but I'm going to have to, charge a little bit for anything beyond that, because we just got to keep the doors open. And so that plays into it a lot as well.
And another thing that we need to, I think, touch on, Seth, is we talked about the thinking outside the box, and one thing that is probably not so outside the box now, but definitely a big part of that, is the social media part of your personal marketing. And whether you are realizing you're using your social media as marketing or not, it actually becomes that over time if you're going to be a racer. So we've got to be very aware of what we're doing when we're posting on things like Twitter and things like Facebook. I mean, we've got to keep things somewhat politically correct. And I think as well, kind of show good attitudes. You can show a bad attitude through your tweets and posts and things like that. And sponsors will most likely be watching that more and more. I mean, they have been and they will continue to, and I think it will become more and more of a thing where your every move is going to be kind of microscopic because you're kind of throwing it out there.
Yeah, the internet is a digital footprint. So once you're online, you're out there for just about anybody to see you that you want, and that's a great point. I mean, social media may be your way of picking on your friends and making fun of people and whatever else, but the fact of the matter is, most of the companies nowadays are on Facebook and Twitter, and most of the employees that work for those companies are on Facebook and Twitter. I got hundreds of new Facebook friends from just my time last year working at the Nationals, and so I work with people, see them at the track, and then I'm getting friend requests from people, and all of a sudden my news feed on my Facebook page is filled with comments and things from some of these people, and it amazes me some of the pictures that people post. If you're an underage person and you're out drinking with your buddies and that shows up on Facebook, it's kind of like, well, that's not a good thing it's not a way to represent yourself real professionally if you're out doing keg stands and you're 17 years old. So being aware of that, and it kind of seems like common sense, but a lot of people, based on the language they use, the way they represent themselves online, it's kind of like they're not expecting other people to be watching. And I wrote that on that article I wrote, the 25 do's and don'ts of sponsorship, with social media, being mindful of what you post, because I've actually I played into and influenced the decision to sponsor certain people based on what they were posting and how sponsoring them, how they would be representing us because of how they represent themselves online at the track. And so being mindful of that, but at the same time, social media is great. The way that the Facebook engine works is the more content that's out there and gets shared, the more it bolsters, the more activity it gets. And so if you're out there sharing a company's, your sponsor's info, you're talking them up on Facebook, you're tweeting at them, you're hashtagging them, that bolsters their online presence, and that gets their name out there. So I always refer to that as your reach, whether it's social media, Twitter, Facebook friends, whatever. The more you're tweeting, Chad Wienan's a great example. He's tweeting all the time out to Yamaha, SSI Decals, Walsh Racecraft, all of his sponsors, and hashtagging them and sending out pictures and tagging them, and that's in turn flooding his pictures, his information about his products into their news feed, so their fans are then seeing it. So that's just the way social media works. And again, it comes back to marketing, and it's all sponsorship is all about marketing, and that's a great way to use that. So social media, like anything, is good and bad. It can be a great tool if used correctly, and it can also hinder your ability to represent yourself professionally if you choose to use it that way.
Exactly, and I think that it's something that if you don't have, you should be having, utilizing, and it's like you said, man. I mean, it's opened your eyes for some people that you didn't maybe recognize as someone being as beneficial as what they were, and probably, I'm sure at the same time, you've probably decided that you're not going to sponsor someone because of some of the ways that they act online as well. So just be mindful of that, and be aware of that all eyes are on you when you are on the internet, and everyone has access to that. Now, Seth, as we wrap things up here today, I know we've covered quite a bit of things here. Is there anything that we want to go back and touch on? Do we want to look ahead to possibly a third show? Is there more things that we need to cover and maybe get a little more in depth about?
One of the things that I want to make a point about, and it almost doesn't fit anywhere because it should go without saying, but I always encourage people when they hear back from a sponsor, do the math, because people get so wrapped up in, oh, well, I get this discount and I get that discount, or you helping me out. But if sponsorship is it's supposed to be about saving you money to help you in your race program. And so it should go without saying when a sponsor makes you an offer and says, okay, we'll give you a 30% discount on our product. Well, okay, so find out what the price is going to be and then what your cost is going to be with 30% off that. And what I found during my time with DWT and Motorworks is people wouldn't even take the time to research the cost, to do the math, and find out what it was going to cost them. As an example, and I always use this because to me it's hysterical, but we lowered the retail price of Motorworks exhausts from I think it was $400 or $450 to $399. Excuse me, I don't remember what it was. We lowered them. I haven't been there for a while. We lowered them to $399, which was at least a savings of $100 off. And with that, because we lowered the retail price that anyone would get when they call in, we also decreased the level of sponsorship we were offering. And so I had one rider call me that said, I made him an offer and said we can offer you a 20% discount on Motorworks exhaust. That's going to take that's a sizable chunk off that cost. And he called me back and was all up in arms, saying I had 35% off last year. Why did my sponsorship go down? And he just gave me an earful. And I said, well, you obviously didn't take the time to research the cost, because 20% off today's retail price is cheaper than 30% or 35% off last year's retail price. Now, if you want, I'll give you the bigger discount, but I'll charge you the old retail price, and you'll be paying more. And so people didn't even take the time to do the math and find out what their discount was going to be. And, you can look at that in quality of products. You might get, I get 50% off on a set of wheels, but if you're going to have to replace the wheels every race, are you going to spend more in the long run? So you might get a less of a discount off another set of wheels, but they might last you all season, or they might last you only have to buy 2 sets all season.
Right.
So consider the cost, consider how much you might have to replace it. It's not just about, I got this discount, or I get a bigger discount here, or whatever. You've got to do the math and add up. The big guys, the guys that are putting together budgets and programs, they have to figure that out, and they're the ones that look at, okay, this is going to cost us what? Yeah, this will get us through the race. And you might get a great discount on a product, but if it's a crappy product and you're not going to finish races, is that really benefiting you? I mean, shoot, even if you're getting free product, if you can't finish races because of product failure, are you really coming out ahead? And so that's something just to consider is count the costs and what it's going to, how it's going to benefit you in the long run.
Okay, great. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because some of us, again, that goes back to what I was saying there earlier, shooting from the hip without thinking, just immediately firing off because, knee-jerk reaction or whatever. Don't have a knee-jerk reaction. Wait and see and weigh the options and look at the big picture. The big picture is definitely the thing that you're going after in the long run anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of what I would say. We can definitely pick up another time and do one last one. I don't know if we get anybody that wants to send in any questions or that kind of thing. We can certainly have them post them on Facebook or send either of us an email, and that might be a way to drum up some more info. And we can certainly review the 25 points I made and kind of do a recap of some of the important ones, or whatever you think. Okay. If you think other people want to hear more.
No, I think there's more. I think there'll be people with questions, and I think I'll develop some questions, because I know one thing that I want to talk about is next week is the making friends with the media. I want to talk a little bit about that and explain to people what that means and how to go about that, and maybe even putting together press releases, promoting yourself not only on the internet but locally. There are tools to do that with available for you, and we'll talk a little bit about that, I think. How about that?
Yeah, that sounds great to me.
All righty. Sounds real good. Well, Seth, I want to say thanks to you again for taking the time to speak with us. I know you got to get to work, so get on out there, and we'll talk to you soon, bro, next Tuesday, I guess, okay?
That sounds good. Thanks, Rodney. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. That's Seth Farger. Be sure and give him an email if you want to know more about sponsorships, the do's and don'ts. You can email him at seth@sethfarger.com. That is SETH for Seth, and then Farger is spelled Fargher, and SethFarger.com is also a good place to go and read and keep up with the things that's going on with Seth as well. And I want to say thanks to him for expanding on his article, and we'll talk more about the media side of things next week here on Quad Radio. And again, we want to say thanks to our friends at Impact Solutions for being such a wonderful part of the Quad Radio experience and helping get us going here in 2012. I just want to let folks know that we are gearing up for even bigger things in 2013, and be on the lookout for that. And share this. Share it with all your friends. Let everyone know that Quad Radio is out there, and we've got great informative interviews like this, as well as fun-loving interviews like some of the other ones we've seen, as well as getting to know individual riders. And we're going to get to know a lot of them. We're going to find out a lot over the course of this coming winter. That'll do it for this edition of Quad Radio. For Seth Farger, I'm Rodney Tomlin. This is Quad Radio Live.